What's good, everybody? Timeless Traveler here, and welcome back to another Timeless Travelers tutorials. In today's video, we're going to be going over how to build a gravity block duper for the Bedrock edition on the current version of 1.17. This farm will produce you about 50 to 54 stacks per hour. That is about a double chest or 2 shulker boxes. This design was put together by JC Plays. A link to his video will be added down below. We are also going to be including, in addition to this tutorial, a few troubleshooting things to go over to make sure that we are collecting our gravity blocks in the most efficient manner possible. While this farm is possible to do with just one account, if you want to maximize your rates and prevent any entity lag and additional maintenance, it is highly recommended that you have a separate account AFKing on one side, whether it be your farm or your collection area, while you are in the other spot for the farm. We're going to be going over how to run this farm with one person and how to run it with 2 accounts. On the topic of having 2 accounts, if 50 to 54 stacks per hour of gravity blocks are not enough for you, if you are using a second account, you can actually build this farm twice in 2 locations, have both accounts in those 2 farm locations, and you will in fact double your gravity block production rate. So instead of going from 50 to 54 per hour, you will go to about 100 to 108 stacks per hour. Now, full materials list will be added down below in the description, of course. As you can see, building just one farm is in fact very cheap, and it is not that complicated at all. We are simply running this thing off of a very basic redstone clock. Resources are very quick to gather. The hardest thing will probably be your slimes if you are not within a slime chunk, and or if you are not near a swamp biome. This farm runs in a very simple manner. We have the redstone clock that is powering 3 separate sticky pistons on 3 different times. And as we can see, the gravity block is falling as the sticky piston goes up. When it is falling, it is technically considered an entity, which means it can be moved by flowing water. In that brief period of it being considered an entity and being pushed by water, it gets pushed into the end gateway where it ends up on the other side. Once that happens, the sticky piston then grabs it. As it lands, it turns back into a solid block. Sticky piston pulls it back up, and then rinse and repeat. It does the process over and over again, allowing us to duplicate any gravity block that we want. Just for clarification, for those not knowing what a gravity block is, it is any block that is affected by gravity, meaning if we break a block underneath, gravity kicks in and it falls down. The only exception to this rule for the duplication farm, eggs will not work. If you put an egg inside the farm, it will go up, gravity will bring it down, but it will not go through the end gateway and it will not duplicate, unfortunately. So you only get 1 egg unless you have add-ons, 1 egg, and that's all you're going to get. As for everything else, whether it be an anvil, slightly damaged anvil, very damaged anvil, you can duplicate that, sand, red sand, and every single color of concrete powder, as well as gravel. And coming out on the other side of the end gateway, as we can see here, I have the camera account running over where we just were, and you can see all these blocks are falling down, they are breaking on the hoppers, and they are all being gathered. But before we drop into the tutorial, don't forget to leave a like on this video, subscribe if you have not already, and slap that notification bell so you can stay up to date on all my future videos. I'm sure Steve over here would greatly appreciate if you gave this video a thumbs up. Now, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into the tutorial. Now, if it wasn't clear enough already, you need to build this farm in the end. Once you get into the end, go ahead and beat the dragon. And if you don't want to use the end gateway that originally spawns, all you need are 4 end crystals. You spawn in the dragon, you kill it again, and a new end gateway will appear. And after killing the dragon, a new end gateway will appear if you need a new one for whatever reason. So a materials list is going to be provided down below in the description. Resources, again, are going to be very cheap. We're going to start off by getting out your solid building blocks. We're going to fill in this space here, not there, but right here. And we're going to wrap this around all the way just one time. you should have a 5x5 square. Once you're done with that, very good. And then we're going to go temporary and then place another building block. We're going to bring this all the way around just one time, making it a 7x7 outer ring. Next up, you're going to want to grab your grindstones and we're going to place them down in each of these locations in between both bits of bedrock. Then we're going to go ahead and get out your solid block and you're just going to pick a corner. I would say probably easiest to pick the side. The front of your farm will be the closest to your end island. So this is the front here. We're going to place a solid block right here and a solid block right here. This is going to be our way in and out of the gateway to get to the other side. Once you have that, you can place your water in these three corners. Then you're going to go ahead and get out your string and place it right on the sides. This spot should be protected. Once you put a concrete block down with the string here, it will not solidify. Go ahead and do the same thing on the other sides. And then go ahead, get out your solid blocks again. We're going to place them on all four of those bedrock bits. Then get out your sticky pistons. And wherever we have water, so those three locations, we're going to place a sticky piston facing down. So 1, 2, and 3. That's all we need because we're going to have just 3 running at one time. Once you're done there, go ahead and get out your solid block. And on this middle block here, come out by 1 and 2. Come up again by 1, 2. Place one on both those sides. Break this middle block right here. We're done with that. Get out your lever and flick it on real quick. That way we keep the clock turned off. By default, it will run. So we want to make sure that we have it in its off setting. You can place your redstone torch here. Redstone repeater here on 1, 2, 3 ticks. Get out your dust, redstone dust, and the clock is complete. You can go ahead and give it a little test run real quick. Make sure that it's running. It should look like that. Good. Now we're going to bring this dust along. We're going to bring it to all of the sticky pistons. So bring it out by 1 and 2. Get out your repeaters for 1, 2, 3 ticks. Another bit of dust. And a redstone repeater again on 3 ticks. Every single repeater we're using is going to be on 3 ticks. Go ahead and bring out that dust one more time. And it should look like that. The last part for this farm, other than setting up our collection area, is you're going to want to load it up with whatever gravity block you wish to duplicate. So right now, I'm just going to put sand in here, but if you want to use anvils or concrete powder, then of course you're free to do so. Just 3 locations, right like that. And if we go ahead and turn this on, make sure your volume is turned off. I have mine down pretty low. Let's get it a little bit lower. There we go. This is a very powerful noise machine. If you want to annoy your friends and they're in the end, just get them over here and make them listen to this. But this is it for the farm. Now we're going to go ahead and work on how to set up the collection. One thing I forgot to mention, I am terribly sorry, everyone. For this pocket right here, what you do is going to be really up to you. This is going to be your way in and out. Well, not your way out, but as you go into the other side, you're always going to go in through here. You can do an ender pearl, just throw it in right in the middle. You can ladder yourself up. You can fly in. What I like to do is I like to flood this all with water sources, and then I just swim on in. But you may want to do it differently. It's entirely up to you. So keep that in mind as you're putting this together. Now let's talk about how to set up our collection system. So this is where having a second account is going to be very helpful. If you don't have one, this is still doable, but it's going to be a little bit more difficult. Okay. So for me, I'm going to have my second account running, but if you're by yourself, just stay here, let the farm run for a couple minutes. So we have a bunch of gravity blocks on the other side, and wherever you end up and wherever you pick up the items, once those items go in your inventory, that's going to be your location. So make sure you mark it down. We're going to go in right now and I'll show you. So we landed right here and collected all the items. However, if we look right over there, we can see that the items are actually spawning over there. Okay. So keep that in mind if you are by yourself. I would say go back and forth a few times just to test it out. In fact, if this is happening to you, you're going to want to clear out the area and make sure that wherever you land, it's completely flat and nothing is obstructing your path. Once you clear things out and if you are by yourself and you have confirmed where your items are appearing, we're going to make sure that we have a special way of marking where that spot is. So we're just going to put some indicator blocks right here. And again, I have the second account running just so we can know exactly where these things are coming out. What we want to do next is we want to find the Y level in which these drops come in as a solid block. So right now they are appearing for a brief moment as a solid block before immediately breaking into drop form. Okay, so we want to keep breaking down until we see right where it shows up as a solid block. So right there is our sweet spot. What we want to do now is you just want to clear out the area. There is no specific amount of space you want to clear out. I would say just for a comfortable amount of wiggle room, give yourself about 3 or 4 blocks of space away from your marker blocks. Another thing that I need to mention is we have, as you can see, 2 bits of sand here. If we break them, it will spawn one here, and then it'll spawn one on the western side if this space is occupied. So if this is occupied, first it'll prioritize this one, and then it'll move over to the west side of that space. So we want to keep these 2 spaces prepared for the next step. So what we want to do is we want to clear out an area. Again, there is no specific amount that you need to clear up because you may want to just fill this in once you are done and set up your own personal collection system. But I'm just going to clear out a nice comfortable space right here, about 3 blocks out. And now that we have ourselves a bit more space, this is going to be our work area. We know that the solid blocks are going to spawn at this level. And if we break these blocks, they will spawn in and they will fall until those spaces are filled, in which case they will start breaking again. So we're just going to go ahead. I'm going to place our solid blocks back here just so it's easier to finish the rest of the work. And we're actually going to dig down a bit more because now we want to install our hoppers. Giving yourself about 2 blocks of space from this level, 1 and 2, should be enough space. If you have any issues with lag or your blocks aren't breaking within that 2 block distance, go ahead and dig down by about another block or so, and you should be good from there. But now that we have this area carved out and we have a nice distance for our gravity blocks to fall and break, what we need to do is place underneath hoppers because these will break once they land on the hoppers. So going in line with this block and this block, we want to set up our collection system. Now we're just going to take out a little space right here and remove the Endermen. They're a little annoying, but we're going to go ahead and just basic storage. We're going to put a chest here and bring that hopper line underneath both these blocks. Now that we have the hopper line in place, we can safely go ahead and remove our support blocks. And as you can see, everything is dropping in, and for the most part, it is still currently lossless. If we take a look here, we are slowly but surely gathering our gravity blocks. Now, for troubleshooting, as you can see, we have a few going off to the side. That's okay, perfectly fine. You can just extend out your hoppers around like that. And if you want to make sure that this kind of stays in line with this specific spawning space, you can go ahead and put either solid blocks here, or I just go ahead and just add in a few more hoppers to kind of give a little pocket space. So if it goes off to the side, we can easily collect it with the hoppers. Also, very important to mention, make sure that when you establish that marker block, the blocks that are right above the spawning space of your gravity blocks, make sure you have your solid blocks right above. If you don't, in my experience with testing out this farm, if there are no solid blocks right above where the sand and anvils will spawn, the next time you come back into your world and you turn on the farm, the gravity blocks will spawn in a different location than where you set up your collection system. It usually tries to go to however far away the closest solid blocks are. So if I didn't have these blocks here, I left the area, turned off the farm, turned it back on, came back through the end gateway, they would start spawning somewhere over here, or even over here, and you would have to reconfigure your entire collection system. You'd have to expand out the hoppers. It's a mess. Just make sure once you establish where they spawn as a solid block that you have some permanent marker blocks right above to make sure that they always spawn here. I don't know why it works that way. It just does, because science. When it comes to storage, this is the most basic setup. You can do your shulker box loaders. You can set up item filters if you want to filter out your anvils, your sand, your red sand, your gravel, and all 16 colors of the concrete powders. You can do barrels, shulker boxes, whatever you want to do. Storage silos, whatever. It's entirely up to you. We're not going to go over how to put together storage. All we need to make sure is how we can collect the sand and transfer it from the spawn to whatever storage we want to do. As far as the farm goes, this is pretty much it. What you can do after this is, once you have this established, you can fill this all back in, clean up your workspace, completely fill it up. You can use glass, solid blocks, whatever you want to do. It does not matter. Whatever you want to do to customize your world and make it feel more like you. Every time you come back into the collection system, because we have these solid blocks here, you will spawn right on top, while all of your gravity blocks will go right below. So you won't have to worry about ending up inside the collection system. That is why I recommend you fill this in, as I just mentioned, however you want to do it. Just as long as you have these solid blocks here, you'll spawn right here where I am, and you can go off on your merry way. Using one account, I would recommend letting this run no more than an hour. It really depends also on what kind of device you are running on this. If you are using like a lower end device or console, you want to be careful not to go for too long, because at the sand and gravity block duping location, you are loading in all of those entities, and it's going through the end gateway. They're not currently loaded in yet, but once you go through the gateway and come over to this location, it's all going to hit at once, and you run the risk of causing extreme lag or crashing your game. So to prevent that, like I said, just let this run for a brief period of time, come in and collect your stuff if you're on one account. However, if you are on two accounts, you can just let it go like what I'm doing. Have your collection system set up, have both accounts AFK, one over here, one over at the farm, and you are good to go. And if you are running multiple accounts, or you have a friend that's doing farming with you, if you want to double your rates, like I said, go ahead and do all of this one more time. So we are on the outskirts of one of the islands. We have the gravity duper running at the main island where we beat the dragon, and over here we are collecting the drops from that farm. On the flip side, over here we have another end gateway. So this is where you would build the gravity block farm, and then going through the other end of here, let's just go in here real quick. Right here is where you would build that collection system. And right now we are back at the main island. So you'd have one account over there. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Our farm is right here. We have one account here, and they will be collecting the rates from over here. But that about wraps it up for today, everybody. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. If any of this was confusing, please reach out to me, let me know, and I will help you to the best of my abilities. Thank you all again so much for watching. I am Timeless Traveler, and this was Timeless Traveler's Tutorials. We went over how to build a gravity block duper for the 1.17 version of Minecraft Bedrock. Again, don't forget, please, to leave a like on this video, subscribe if you have not already, slap that notification bell as hard as you can to stay up to date on all of my future content. Help Steve put a smile on his face with that like button. And again, reach out to me if you have any questions, or if you are struggling on a farm, if you have any issues with lag, please let me know, and I will, like I said, do my best to help you out. And also, don't forget that duplication farms and whatnot on the Bedrock Edition usually do not last very long. So keep that in mind when you are putting this together. Take advantage of this while it lasts. Duplicate as much as you can, because more than likely we will probably have a patch for this sometime in the near future. But with that said, thank you all again so much for watching. You all take care, have an amazing day, and I will see you in the next video.